cancer patients with severe pain by injecting morphia. Morphia is the best painkiller that all of you know, and they were running a drip of morphia, but told the patient, this is not morphia we are giving you, this is a new vitamin we have discovered for cancer, and you will be all right. And what happened? Nobody's...
All my brothers and sisters, both on the days, off the days, and in the audience, members of the press, friends, I am humbled. Everybody was praising me. I don't know whether I deserve it or not. But one thing I can tell you is, I have no words to speak because after 3 brilliant speakers have spoken. Imagine, my plight this morning.
Which is leaning towards you. Straight fence you can climb, but a fence which is leaning towards you, that's why you see the jail fences that leaning towards inside the jail so that nobody can get out. That's the most difficult thing. The next difficult thing is trying to kiss a girl who is leaning away from you. This is impossible. Third most difficult thing is trying to speak after brilliant speakers have spoken. And I am trying the most difficult thing in this morning. Having said that, what gives me happiness is that people do not want to be drugged. That's why you are all here. If I was giving a talk on drugs, probably the type of audience would have been totally different. Now I will talk first about health, then about the heart, and lastly about the great thing called science, which makes all of you think that, that's the last word, science. Everything is science now. And the minute you say it is scientific, you believe it. If you say it is not scientific, you don't believe it. We have come to that. I'll tell you all about that in a short time. Though we teachers go by the calendar and not by the clock, today I have decided not to be a teacher and go by the clock for a change. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Venkatraman for getting this work translated to Tamil, because my idea of writing a book or writing any book is that more people read it. It's not actually for making money that books are written in my concept. Actually, more than half of my books are published by the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, where all that I get is gratitude. And it's a charity for the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Then what happened was, after late Ramakrishnan's death, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan became a very slow bullock cart. It was not moving at all. The books were there stacked up in their library and somebody has to ask for it. Go to their office and ask for it, then only they'll give it. So then I thought it's better to move out of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan to some other commercial publishers, and I realized very quickly that all commercial publishers except Vikatan are there to cheat the writers. This is my experience. But this Vikadam's publication, I like the way they brought out the book and priced it at 100 rupees. As I think Venkatraman rightly said, you can't even photostat it for 100 rupees because each one page they say 2 rupees and that's 185 is 386 rupees. But that's good for Vikadam because nobody will certainly, instead of photostating it, they'll buy a book, which is cheaper. See, this is how the world should run, because otherwise the world runs for money only. All the follies of any system, whether it is a lawyer, doctor, or a chartered accountant, or a minister, or a politician, why do they do wrong things? For money. That is why William Wordsworth, in the year 1802, wrote a poem called "The World is Too Much with Us." When there was the first industrial revolution in Europe, he said, now with the industrial revolution, man is spoiled. And first 4 lines of that poem I'll let you know. Rest you read because it's a fascinating poem. The poem's name is "The World is Too Much with Us." The world is too much with us, late and soon. Getting and spending, we seem to have lost our powers. Little do we see in nature that is ours. I'll repeat that. Little do we see in nature that is ours. We have lost our soul, a sordid boon. Full stop. And what he has said, what he wrote in 1802 has come 100% true in 2014. Everything here exists for money. Not a single thing here exists for mankind. I always say, I love that word called humanism, which was originally coined by Comte, a great French philosopher. I started a series called Medical Humanism. Because, see, we have to have humanism in every field. Humanism is an activity which ultimately should benefit mankind. That's called humanism. Whether it's business humanism, relationship humanism, economic humanism, whatever you call it, and medical humanism. Our aim should be to do good to patients. If you are a doctor, your primary aim should be to see that your patient, if possible, goes home straight. Now, very interesting study was done. We now claim that we have advanced so much in medicine that we can even get a dog's heart transplanted into man. பரவாயில்ல ஆஃப் பண்ணுங்க அப்படி இல்லை ஆஃப் ஆகலை அது கொஞ்சம் ஜாஸ்தி ப்ரெஸ் பண்ணா ஆஃப் ஆயிடும் பர்மனெண்ட் ஆஃப் ஆயிடும் அதுக்கப்புறம் வரும் So there was a study done in Johns Hopkins Hospital in 1940 and 1999, a good 50 years difference. The number of people per capita who went into the hospital, came back alive and came back on the stretcher, go to the crematorium, almost remained the same, and which was slightly worse in 1999 compared to 1940. This tells you all about what we do today. Cancer area, for example. We say now we have got everything for cancer. There's nothing to worry about cancer at all. Christie's Hospital is the oldest cancer hospital in Manchester, the first cancer hospital. And they have their records kept. Every record from the day it started till today, except 1940 and 41, 2 years when London was so badly bombarded by the German bombers. They don't have proper records, rest they have the records. Somebody audited one simple disease, chronic myeloid leukemia, one disease. 2 slots, 1900 and 1940, 1950 and 1990. Both same area, number of years. Very interesting thing is, 1900, 1940, we didn't have any medicine, any treatment for chronic myeloid leukemia except TLC, tender loving care. 1990, 1950, 1990, we had so many treatments. Splenectomy, this, that, busulfan, so many things. Now, audit shows in the second half, we sent more people to meet their maker in heaven than in the first half. Very simple thing. Now I'll come to science. We think human body runs according to our linear mathematics. We give a patient with cancer every day 4 milligrams of busulfan. Okay, every day we give it. Patient takes it faithfully because we said don't miss a dose, but most of them miss it. That's why many of them are alive. Actually, a study showed in America, there's a journal called Drugs, which is a very prestigious journal. A study showed that if you give any patient one tablet to be taken once a day, the compliance is 76%. Did you now get this correct? If I ask you to take one tablet every day faithfully, 24% of you will forget it. One day or the other you forget. But when it becomes 2 tablets to be taken twice a day, the compliance is 46%. When it is more than 3 tablets per day, the compliance is 23%. Did you get it? That means 77% of the people do not take regularly drugs prescribed if there are more 3 drugs in the laundry list that we always give. But today, 3 drugs is very rare. You have about 13, 14, 15, 18, 19 drugs. So you can imagine how many of the, what percentage of them take the drugs. Now I'll give you the side effects of the drugs. Adverse drug reaction is the commonest of death in America. America is the only country where there are good statistics kept. 4 jumbo jet load of human beings die every month due to adverse drug reactions, ADR. In last year, 1 million people, that is 10 lakhs Americans, America's whole population is about 1/4 of Indian population. You can imagine that, 300 million. Out of the 300 million, 1 million died of adverse drug reactions. 79 million people got admitted to the hospital because of adverse drug reactions but did not die. This is the number that we are aiming to increase, because these 79 million people who came with drug reactions are the people who got the hospital industry $80 billion profit. Just imagine that. So, an Indian doctor in America, a surgeon, has written a book on how surgery happens and how to reduce surgical deaths. In that he says, very interestingly, he says that if you probably don't have complications after surgery, many of the hospitals will have to close because their biggest income is surgical complications. I do an operation, let us say I remove the appendix, and the patient goes home after that without anything, I may get some dollars, say maybe $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. Suppose he comes back with the complications several times and needs more and more operations, my income will be enormous. So the hospitals want more complications after surgery. Hospitals want more drug reactions so that they can treat more people. But that's okay. I don't mind they're making money. But I'm worried about people who are sent to meet their maker in heaven by the drugs. Now this, in my calculation, now if you put the two calculations together, 77% of the people do not take the drugs that doctors have given. Supposing all of them had taken it, what would be the number that of adverse drug reactions? See, 23% is 1 million. That is 4 jumbo jets every month. Supposing 100% them took it, you require 10 jumbo jets every month die. If one jumbo jet falls, one small jet falls near Agra, 4 people die. It's been news in every paper and every television. Day before yesterday, one of our Air Force jets fell down. Now every month 4 jets fall down, no paper writes it. Common man doesn't get to read it. And today it is so difficult to convince people not to take drugs. People want drugs. Even if there is a good doctor, there are a lot of good doctors, let me tell you. In all systems of medicine, there are actually majority of doctors are good human beings. There's only a microscopic minority of bad elements who give the system a bad name. Now, these good doctors sometimes don't want to give drugs, but the patients demand drugs. The mother comes with a child which has a common cold. A sensible doctor says, treated cold lasts for 7 days, untreated for more than a week. So, then the mother says, no, you give an antibiotic. My child has to go to school tomorrow. He has got an exam and teacher will be angry. Now the doctor is forced to give antibiotics. Okay, even if he doesn't want it. Now, what happens if you give antibiotics to a viral disease is, antibiotics cannot kill viruses. Antibiotics change the immune system response to the viral disease. Now, as Venkatraman said, my book says there is a good doctor inside. I'll tell about him or her later. But this doctor tries to cure you in most cases. Now, there is a response from the immune system. It's called a cytokine response of T1, which cures the common cold by itself. Now, the minute you give antibiotics, that gets changed to T2, which means it produces vasospasm. It produces bronchospasm. We are manufacturing asthma in the society. The incidence of asthma has gone up so much. Death rate due to asthma has gone up so much that today asthma has become a big problem. I still remember in the 50s when we were students, our textbooks used to say, asthma is a very mild disease, nothing to worry about it. And asthmatics are protected against tuberculosis. So if you are an asthmatic in our time, it was good because you don't get tuberculosis. The dreaded disease was tuberculosis. Today, asthmatics have more tuberculosis than non-asthmatics. Because we give so much of steroids to asthmatics, which depresses the immune system, and TB germs are in our air. So you become a TB patient. Now, there's a very interesting new development. They want every human being to take TB drugs. Somebody was telling me day before yesterday, which I don't know, I have not confirmed yet. Rotary organization has now left polio. They were after polio for a long time. I used to tell them, do you know anything about polio? They don't know. They are Rotarians. Then why do you want to get involved with that? They don't know. Now they are getting involved with tuberculosis, I am told. And for the Rotary organization, நீங்க Rotary இல்லையா யாரும் சொன்னாங்க எனக்கு தெரியாது. They are now telling, I believe, all human beings must take anti-tubercular drugs. Anti-tubercular drugs are such powerful antibiotics. And I only pray God that better wisdom prevails on the Rotarians and others, that everybody should not be drugged. Now there's a move in America to put statins into water supply. So everybody's cholesterol is brought down. So that more cancer can be produced, because if you don't, your cholesterol is produced in your own body. And your body is not foolish to produce cholesterol unnecessarily. Only when it is needed, it produces. Supposing, your cholesterol and my cholesterol cannot be the same, because we are not the same. Your own brother's cholesterol and your cholesterol cannot be same. Your own twin's cholesterol and your cholesterol need not be same, because you are not same. So why make everybody same? This is the biggest curse in medical science. We don't know. I don't know what my blood pressure should be. What is normal blood pressure? I don't know. Mahatma Gandhi's blood pressure is 200 by 120 all his life. And the person who was not sleeping was Sushila Nair, his doctor. She has written in her autobiography. The old man was sleeping. And he was killed by blood pressure complications. There's a bullet from Nathuram Godse. See, this is what we do. And I have a very famous doctor in Bangalore. I don't tell the name. You all know him. His blood pressure is always 90 by 40. And he comes to me and says, give me some drug. I said, look, you will live forever. Why worry about it? Nature wanted your blood pressure to be that much. And you are a neurosurgeon. You operate for 12 hours standing. And why are you worried? You are alive. And you will be alive. And thank God he's still alive. He's about 92. So what happens is, now what do? We take the average. Now chartered accountants here. What we do is average blood pressure of human beings. That's a Gaussian curve, mean plus 2 standard deviation. And that we call as normal. Average is converted into normal. Now this is done not without any reason. If when you convert an average into a normal, you get about 25% false positives and false negatives. So about 25% of people who are normal become abnormal. I'll give you an example if you're not understood, because it's complicated statistics, some of the younger generation. What is the average height of Indian male? Gaussian curve, plus minus 2, that's 5.4 inches plus minus 2 inches. So if you're between 5.2 inches and 5.6 inches, you're normal. Did you understand? You are average. Now what do? If you're not normal, we treat you, right? Agreed? If your blood pressure is not normal, you treat. If your height is not normal, we'll treat you. Amitabh Bachchan comes for a common checkup. 6.2, what is the treatment? Cut his leg, make him 5.6. That's exactly what we do. Jaya Bachchan comes for a checkup, 4.6. Transplant that leg to her, she also becomes normal. This is a curse. So friends, I jokingly tell people, don't take it very seriously. If you want health, don't go to the medical establishment. Whether it's homeopathy, umapathy, ajurupathy, allopathy, no pathy. If you want honor, don't go to the police. Don't go to the police station and say, preserve my honor, I am here. He will take money from the gunda and then get you hit. Don't go to the court if you want justice. But having said that, I'll tell you one thing. Even if you have a cold, let us say, even if you cough a couple of times, do not treat yourself. You must have a doctor. I don't know what the specialty of the doctor should be. He can be a homeopath, he can be an allopath, he can be an Ayurvedic man, he can be a Pandit, he can be an RMP, he can be an osteopath, he can be a chiropractic. Doesn't matter. Because a study by the WHO in Thailand some years ago showed there are 5 types of medicine practiced in Thailand. Modern medicine, Western modern medicine, pure Chinese medicine, integrated Chinese, Samoa medicine. Samoa medicine is a type practiced in Thailand where the father tells the son when he is dying how he was treating his patients. The son is not supposed to tell anyone else till he dies and then tell his son. So it runs in the family, Samoa system. Then last quacks are everywhere. You know, they call themselves RMPs. Suddenly they become doctors. They go to Ceylon and get a PhD degree or something like that. They become doctors. All these 5 people were studied effect on society. Do you know what the study showed after 5 years? All of them equally effective on society. Now we know why. There's a study which is done now. Last year it was done in 4 universities: Oxford, Cambridge, Hamburg, and Munich. What did the study do? It was done from Oxford, and Professor Bingle, who is a professor of medicine in Oxford, was the lead author of the study. They were treating patients, cancer patients with severe pain, by injecting morphia. Morphia is the best painkiller that all of you know, and they were running a drip of morphia, but told the patient, this is not morphia we are giving you, this is a new vitamin we have discovered for cancer, and you will be all right. And what happened? Nobody's pain relieved. Everybody had continuous pain, and morphia was running in this drip. Then they took the same patient in the next study, crossover, they were running saline, salt water, into the vein, and told the patient, this is morphia, a new salt of morphia. Everybody's pain relieved. Did you understand that? Pain got relieved with salt water. Pain did not get relieved with morphia. When the patient thought salt water was morphia, morphia was salt water. Did you get that? Then the trialists themselves were confused. So they wanted to see what is happening. Whether is this a fluke, something happened. So they did fMRI for the patient to repeat the study. fMRI is functional MRI. You can see what the brain is doing in fMRI. It's very expensive. If you go to the hospital, they'll do an fMRI for it. It's not needed. For research, they did it. And when the patient believed that it is morphia, the forebrain produced so much of painkillers, opioids, that the pain disappeared. When the patient did not believe that it was morphia, when morphia was running, the brain slept. This is the confirmation of Hahneman's first principle, because Hahnemann was also a doctor. And Hahnemann was so confused like we are confused now, and he was as much confused as these Oxford doctors doing the study. He probably thought, placebo, I please, because he lost his own son from a simple infection. So it's placebo. Placebo in Latin means I please. When the mind gets pleased, the mind produces medicine. That is your doctor. And that is how homeopathy was born. And homeopathy was more popular in America than modern medicine. The American Homeopathic Association started in 1847. And who started it? American doctors were fed up with our conventional treatment at that time. What was the conventional treatment? Galen in 127 said, all diseases are due to bad humors, and they must be purged, vomited, and bloodlet. So we were letting blood out for every disease from common cold to cancer for 2,500 years. Can you believe that? And how many people we must have sent to heaven. But the notable people are, George Washington had typhoid fever. So his doctors let his blood out completely till he died. Napoleon Bonaparte had tuberculosis of the heart. It's called tubercular pericarditis. He was also bloodlet. When your pericardium is slightly damaged and it's constricting your heart, if you let the blood out, he'll quickly die. That's, bloodletting was so common. Then also doctors did not learn from their lesson because only the rich people came to the doctors. Even those days, doctors were after money. Rich people came to doctors. The poor man who did not come to doctors, he did not die. If they had observed that in society, they would have stopped bloodletting long, long ago. I'll give you a good book for the younger generation to read. It's called Bad Medicine. What's the book name? BAD, Bad Medicine. Side heading, Doctors Harming Patients Since Hippocrates. Written in 2012, last year, 2013, by a historian, professor of history in the University of Leeds. His name is David, D-A-V-I-D, David Wooten, W-O-O-T-T-O-N. I want all of you to read their book because it shows how foolish we are if we don't think. If you just think, what happens? How many of you have read this book called Doctor's Dilemma? It's a drama written by George Bernard Shaw, very famous drama writer. George looked at what the doctors were doing in London and he was shocked. There was a great doctor in London, one of the greatest surgeons. His name is Arbuthnot Lane. Arbuthnot Lane. And Arbuthnot Lane had a philosophy that all diseases are because the poisons come from the gut. You eat something, you eat today, it remains till tomorrow morning, it gets a poison, it becomes a poison in the gut. So the poison comes and you get disease. So what did he do? He had a principle of surgery. Anybody who comes to him with any disease, he will remove the gut. It's called colectomy. So that instead of the shit coming at the other end, it used to come in out here when there is a tube he'll keep. And this is called, there's an ostomy tube, there's a bag there. So everybody who had money in London had a bag with shit collecting there. So London started stinking. And no doctor had the guts to talk to Arbuthnot Lane because he was like a giant of a doctor. And George Bernard Shaw wrote this book and Arbuthnot Lane closed his clinic and then he did not practice medicine. So George Bernard Shaw did more good to society than any scientist or doctor in the world because he stopped one thing. Then in 1823, medicine doctors were so bad in London that one of the doctors himself, a young doctor whose name is James Wakeley, he said, my God, what are these doctors doing? They don't know science. They have not studied well. So he wanted to start a science journal to inform them about good science and good medicine. The journal he named as The Lancet. Have you heard of that name? The Lancet. Why is naming it as Lancet? He said, doctors have become a bunch of corrupt, incompetent, nepotistic fools who have become an abscess on the human body, on the common man's body. So I'm going to have this Lancet to cut it and drain the pus out. Okay? So he started Lancet in 1823. He had a lot of problems. He had financial problems initially. Lancet stopped 2-3 times in the beginning and then started. Now Lancet is about 200 years old. I think 3 or 4 years ago when the Lancet was about 190 years, the present editor of Lancet, Dr. Horton, wanted to see what effect had Lancet on medical practice. Now the original founder wanted medical practice to be good, no? So what has happened? So he commissioned a medical historian called Hilary Butler. She's from New Zealand, but she's a very famous medical historian. He said, I'll give you this much money, study and tell me what effect Lancet had. She wrote a beautiful paper, published in Lancet. And she wrote, what was a bunch of nepotistic corrupt rascals in 1823 has transformed itself into a corporate monstrosity all over the world, which will cut everyone. This is what is happening. And that is why all of us will have to be aware of our safety. If you want to be safe, as long as you live, don't you try to live here forever. You will never succeed because nature wants us to die. It's a question of when. Some of us in India are very good in jumping the queue. So we may jump the queue and go a little faster. But all that said and done, the queue is there. So I always have been telling doctors, instead of saying you check up for pre-diabetes, pre-hypertension, pre-cancer, etc., have a disease called pre-death syndrome. So everyone becomes a patient for you. When do you die? When you're born. If you don't want to die, don't get born. If you get born, you come to our side, we say pre-death syndrome. Because we have a polypill now. Don't you know that? There is a thing called a polypill. Haven't you heard of that? It's a sort of a small dose of every drug. Polypill. In one drug, everything is there. A small dose of antihypertensive, a small dose of antidiabetic, a small dose of statin, a small dose of this, a small dose of that. And companies are selling it in a big way. They say everybody should take it. It's good, isn't it? If you then the advertisement and the quote unquote science of polypill is, if you took that, you will never die. I said it's very bad for society. Nobody dies. We can't even stand. If nobody dies, what will happen? Can't even stand. You should start sucking from our legs. That is not possible. Now, Madras city, there are 2 doctors who are supposed to be doing research on polypill. They must have got a few crores. That's a different thing. Now, can you believe this? They came to me first. They have a very big scientific community. They said, can you get somebody to work on polypill? Yes, I'll get you. But their data they'll publish, not you. They ran away from me. But in Madras only they got out to work class. And they got data from all over the world saying that taking polypill is good. Very good, isn't it?